Mic check 1 2. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Goldilux podcast. I'm so happy to have you here. And today we're just going to dive in and talk about all these different things that I researched. I have a bunch of stuff lined up that we're going to be talking about. But it's just hard to have an intro and then just kind of like, okay, we're going to go straight into our topics because I'm just used to doing like YouTube makeup videos, but I'm still adjusting. Take it easy on me. Anyways, today we are going to start off with talking about P. Diddy. And boy, is it not good. Things have gone from bad to worst for P. Diddy. So we're definitely going to start the podcast talking about him. It's not good, guys. It's really, really bad. But and then we're gonna talk about some other articles that I found on the internet on Google News, because that's really all I do on the when we have downtime at work. I just kind of scroll and see what's going on in the world. But yeah, let me see. Where did I leave my handy dandy? Okay, so here on today.com, I found this article about P. Diddy. It started with Cassie, if you're not in the loop. It started with Cassie and her filing like pretty much a lawsuit. Or I think she was going to sue him or trying to sue him, but they ended up settling out of court for an undisclosed amount. So he had to like pay her off to pretty much pay for her silence, but she had already leaked so much. And really what kind of got this whole like train going or not train, but like a domino effect going was Cassie talking about all the abuse that she suffered through by being married to P. Diddy, or I think maybe she's just his girlfriend, I don't know. But the girl suffered a lot. Obviously, she was like gifted and like she lived in splendor and like she just had this fabulous life living with P. Diddy, which is, I think he's like a multimillionaire, billionaire, who knows. But yes, she got a lot for her time and for her allegiance to Diddy, but at the same time, it sounds like she just suffered through a lot and a lot of abuse, which is never okay. It turns out that P. Diddy was like pretty much like denying that what Cassie was saying, that Diddy abused her during their relationship. And he just denied. He was like, oh, she's just looking for a payday, everything's false. And then it turns out like this video leaked of Cassie trying to like sneak out of a hotel room that she was with P. Diddy. She was out in the hallway in this hotel room, and then she was like standing in front of the elevator, and all of a sudden you see P. Diddy like just like running, just he pretty much ran up to Cassie, attacked her, and like punched her. And the video was just really graphic. I didn't really want to see, finish all of it, because I don't want to see a young woman getting like beat up like that. Like, no, hell no, that is so inappropriate. But anyways, yeah, like the video was so bad and it went so viral. And people after the video, like people really started believing Cassie, because the video showed him pretty much beating the shit out of Cassie for trying to like sneak off and like, I guess, like run away from him. And like, who would fault that girl? Because I would run away from a guy that was like batshit crazy like that. Like, hell no. I would immediately be gone. Like, I would not have stayed as long as Cassie has stayed. But obviously, there were plenty of perks for her, and just her living this lavish lifestyle. But yeah, like, girl, I'm surprised she even stayed as long as she did, because that's just a lot. And apparently P. Diddy, like, would beat her up if she didn't want to engage in, like, freak-offs, she said. And this was in quotes. And he would, like, beat up Cassie and just like treat her horribly. And he would, like, guess try like make her do like sexual acts with like porn stars and whatnot, and just like engage in stuff that sexual acts that Cassie apparently didn't want to engage in. So there was just this whole slew of things, and also like the federal government like raided his home, one of his homes in LA, and it's just gone from bad to worse for P Diddy. But as I was reading through all these articles, I came across this very intense headline, and it sounds like P Diddy now has pretty much like, what did I write? So there is now a federal lawsuit against P Diddy for human trafficking. Oh no. Yeah, so now more and more women are starting to come out with their own stories of P Diddy sexually assaulting them, and I'm not just calling them stories because, oh, like they're fake. No, I'm saying like they have their own accounts of being around P Diddy and experiencing this like sexual assault. So all these women are coming forward because people now believe the victims. Unfortunately, it took a viral video of P Diddy running up and charging Cassie, his ex-girlfriend Cassie, and beating the shit out of her for people to realize that this guy is nuts. And all the warnings that people have talked about Diddy, like those people were right. And apparently, I think now even like I heard that 50 Cent has made a deal with Netflix to be front and center in this documentary about P Diddy, because like apparently 50 Cent has had a thing against Diddy for a while, and he like has gone on social media and saying that, oh, this bleep is nuts, like he's just a weirdo talking about P Diddy. And yeah, so 50 Cent has known for a while that Diddy was like off the wall, batshit crazy. And, you know, 50 Cent like doesn't care. He is very outspoken on social media, and now he has his chance to pretty much leak and talk about and expose everything that he has seen from P. Diddy. So yeah, that is gonna be one to watch. We are pretty much like witnessing an R. Kelly, like a remaking of the R. Kelly scandal all over again. But I think this one might be worse. I mean, I should not have said that. Like they are equally as worse, but like they're equally as bad. But this one, the victims, the list of victims is just baffling, and like more and more and more keep coming out every day, like victims saying like, oh, this happened in 1990, another model, this happened in 2003, and it's just bad, guys. But going back to the article that I found on P. Diddy's human trafficking article, this one specifically said on today.com, a fourth woman accuses Combs of sexual assault in a lawsuit. A fourth woman, identified in a lawsuit only as Jane Doe for anonymity, like just she wants to be anonymous. Jane Doe accused Combs of sex trafficking and gang rape in 2003 when she was 17 and he was 34. Wow. Oh my God. All right, let's keep reading. The woman alleged in a filing in New York that the assault occurred in 2003, saying in the filing that she was gang raped and sex trafficked by Combs and Harp Pierre, a former longtime president of Combs' Bad Boy record label, as well as an unnamed individual. As alleged in the complaint, defendants preyed on vulnerable high school teenager as part of a sex trafficking scheme that involved plying her with drugs and alcohol and transporting her by private jet to New York City, where she was gang raped by 3 individual defendants at Mr. Combs' studio, unquote. Whoa. The woman's attorney said in a statement, "A judge recently ruled that in order for this case to move forward, the plaintiff must reveal her identity." I don't like that. We need to protect women at all costs, and this right here is not protecting women at all costs. She wanted to remain a doe. She wanted to remain anonymous. But unfortunately, like, these laws are fucked up, and I'm just gonna say it that way because, like, hell, like, this woman went through something extremely traumatic when she was still underage, and you're not letting her continue her lawsuit, you know, and be able to conceal her identity. Like, that's fucked up, and things like this, like, need to change. Screw the federal court system. Like, come on. Like, come on. Just do the right thing for once. Okay. So they're not letting her move forward with the case unless she exposes her name. Don't like that. Quote, "The court recognizes that public disclosure of Doe's identity could have a significant impact on her, particularly given the graphic and disturbing allegations in this case," unquote. That's right. Jessica G. L. Clark, a U.S. District Judge, wrote in her ruling on February 29th. Okay, well, the judge is a female. Okay. Well, why don't you get it? While the court does not take plaintiff's concerns lightly, the court cannot rely on generalized, uncorroborated claims that disclosure would harm plaintiff to justify her anonymity. I don't know what that's saying. Douglas Wigdor, the attorney for Doe and Ventura being Cassie, gave NBC News a statement on March 26 following the federal raid on Combs' property. Quote, "We will always support law enforcement when it seeks to prosecute those that have violated the law. Hopefully, this is the beginning of the process that will hold Mr. Combs responsible for his depraved conduct," unquote, Wigdor said. And then you scroll down, a third woman files lawsuit alleging Combs sexually assaulted her in early 1990s. Another woman files lawsuit, Combs drugged and sexually assaulted her in 1991. Like, it just keeps going. Singer Cassie files lawsuit accusing Combs of rape, then settles a day later. Fuck. This is so much. Oh, look. Right here in the timeline, because Today.com has a whole entire timeline of the P. Diddy case, and so does NBC, because it just keeps going. It's crazy. Rapper 50 Cent and his ex, Daphne Joy, respond after she's named in a producer's lawsuit. Okay. Combs' former producer Rodney Little Rod Jones alleged in a civil lawsuit filed in federal court in February that Combs sexually harassed, drugged, and threatened him during his work on Combs' 2023 album. The complaint, which amended on March 25th, also alleged the actor and model Daphne Joy Cervantes Narvaez, known as Daphne Joy, was one of 3 women who were paid a monthly fee to work as Mr. Combs' sex workers, according to a filing. Defendant Sean Combs bragged about having several women on a monthly stipend, the complaint said. The allegations about Joy in the lawsuit appeared to prompt a response from Joy's ex, rapper 50 Cent, with whom she shares a 12-year-old son. In a statement, the rapper, whose given name is Curtis Jackson III, said he planned to seek sole custody of their son. The disturbing allegations in the sworn pledgings recently filed in the court case related to Daphne Joy, a mother of my 12-year-old child, has required me to take all necessary legal actions to protect my son, sire, unquote, Jackson's statement said. So 50 Cent saying, like, I am getting full custody of my kid because I do not agree with my ex's behavior. I have to protect my son from this mess, is basically what 50 Cent is saying. This is crazy. This is just so messy. And also 50 Cent is saying the most recent false and baseless accusations by Daphne Joy are clearly in response to my decision to seek sole custody of my son, he said. My son's sire is my main priority, and keeping him safe environment is my only focus at this time. Oh, it's because his girl, Joy, responded to 50 Cent's comments with a lengthy statement on Instagram. She's basically saying, let's put the real focus on your true evil actions of raping and physically abusing me. Ugh, it's not good, guys. She wrote, you have permanently damaged the last hope I had for you as a father to preserve our family with these last and final false claims made against me. This is just getting like so like off the wall. Like things are just going from bad to worse for everybody because names are being leaked, fingers are being pointed. It's not just P. Diddy. He's a really big name, but he's connected to a lot of very powerful people. And it's just insane. His son also, Christian. It's so ironic. His name is Christian. But look, hear what he did. His son is accused of sexual assault in a lawsuit that also names Combs, P. Diddy. A girl claims that he sexually assaulted her in December 2022 when she was working on a yacht that Sean Combs, P. Diddy, had chartered for a trip. Well, this is bad. This is like so like messy, and like so many people are like have suffered through this man's evil, because P. Diddy right now is just being exposed for pure evil. He really feels like he is like, what is the word? Lawless. Like he thinks he like can get away with anything, and right now things are really starting to like, shit's hitting the fan for P. Diddy, his family, and anybody that like is close to him or has been close to him recently. But yeah, like this is crazy. It says May 19, Combs posted an apology video after hotel surveillance video released. Nobody really bought that apology video, and he eventually later like took it down because almost everybody that I have been hearing talking about the P. Diddy case, everybody's saying like, oh, he's not really sorry. Like, he's really just sorry that he got caught, and I agree with that. He's just sorry that he's got caught, he's been exposed for who he truly is, and it's just bad. It's so bad. But we just need to get back to the fact that P. Diddy sex trafficked, first of all, drugged a 17-year-old girl. Like 17 years old, like you think, oh, she's almost an adult, almost of legal age, but no, like you're clearly underage. You don't know like what the fuck you're doing. Like when I was 17, I was like, in my mind I was like, oh, I'm gonna be 18 soon, I'm like mature now, like no one could tell me shit. But now that I look back, like 17-year-old me, like I knew nothing. I had not gone through life, and I was so naive, not only because my parents overprotected me from the world, and I was like really sheltered, suburban girl, but also just because I didn't have any experience. I had not lived life. At 17, I fully believe you're still a kid at 17 years old. And the fact that like this like predator like pretty much snapped her up from like high school, like picked her up from high school, drugged her, probably in the jet. He probably sold her all these dreams, like got her in the jet, probably drugged her in the jet, is going to be my guess. And like by the time they got to New York, they just like put her in like one of those black SUVs, drove her to their studio, and just like took advantage of her. And that is disgusting. It just like just puts me in the like a really bad, angry mood, and I don't even want to like just imagine like how much they harmed this girl, and like the trauma that she had to live with for so long. Like, can you imagine, like 17, you wake up and you don't know where the fuck you are. You are not in the same state. You wake up in a different state, like disoriented, like you're coming off whatever drugs this disgusting man put you on, and like your body's like hurting, aching because God knows what these men did with you. Like he needs jail. This just lock him up, put him in jail, put him in jail forever. Throw away the key. Somebody swallow the key. Never take him out. Because that's what he deserves. Justice needs to be served. And honestly, like, no amount of time that they put P. Diddy in, like, one of those fancy jails, no amount of time taking his freedom away will compensate for the amount of hurt, embarrassment, frustration, trauma that these victims have lived through because of him. And not only him, arrest his son. Like, these guys really think they can hide behind other lawyers, but no, like, your house got raided. Like, people are coming for you, as it should be. Like, I just want, this man should not be walking free. Okay? Like, if we put it frankly, he should not be walking free. He is like, it's just too much, and like it kind of puts me in a bad mood. So that is all I have to say about P. Diddy, and moving on. Yeah. Okay, so next up, I want to talk about some very intriguing news. So you all know that Boeing has had a slew of very serious fuck ups. Boeing has fucked up multiple times in the last like decade, but mostly the last 5 years, starting with like its new airplane model, that Boeing 737 Max. Two of them crashed. And then recently, one of Alaska Airlines flights, one of those airplanes, one of those Max airplanes, one of the doors exploded out, like just popped out. The airplane like decompressed, and luckily they were able to like head back down to land. They were not too high up, so decompression wasn't that bad. But yeah, like now, so now something else has happened. So Boeing has a contract with NASA, and Boeing was to make NASA a spaceship to fly into space to dock into the ISS. And they did that. The spaceship was able to go into space, dock into the ISS. But now something happened. So it turns out that the astronauts that were in that Boeing spaceship were trying to head back to Earth weeks ago, but they couldn't because of all these malfunctions on this Boeing spaceship. And really, as sad as it is to say, like, that is on brand now for Boeing, and their whole brand now revolves around chaos and just fucking up and taking shortcuts, and not just becoming one of those Fortune 500 companies that only care about profits and a percentage and shareholders, and just making their CEOs richer. Like, that's what they care about now. And because of that, their product has like severely like suffered in quality. And when I read that headline, that freaking that the Boeing spaceship is like malfunctioning, so now these astronauts are pretty much like stranded in space without a ride. Their only ride home is now just done. But anyways, this article written by CBS News, the title says, despite problems, Boeing's Starliner crew confident spacecraft will bring them safely back to Earth.
Yeah, right. The crew of Boeing Starliner spacecraft said Wednesday they're confident in the capsule. They're confident the capsule will carry them safely back to Earth at the end of their extended stay aboard the International Space Station, despite helium leaks in the ship's propulsion system. Helium leaks in the propulsion system. Not even like electrical malfunction, like no, not even that. The problem was in the engine. The problem in Boeing's Starship was in the friggin' engine. Honey, if your spaceship engine doesn't work, how do you expect it to get through the harsh condition of space, of the vacuum of space, and get living people back safely to their home world? Like, that is absolutely baffling to me. Like, can we not like can we not put money above people for once? One time, just put safety first. Like, for crying out loud, you are blasting people into the freaking space in a tin can that you made, and there's helium leaks on the engine. Like, fuck you, Boeing. Like, fuck you and your shareholders, because these people deserve so much better. Like, they're just out there trying to do their job, these scientists, and they're trying to stay positive and hopeful, but Boeing is just fucking up left and right, and I don't like that. I'm not gonna lie, I laughed a little bit when I read, despite helium leaks, that there were helium leaks in the propulsion system. Oh, helium leaks in the ship's propulsion system and trouble with maneuvering thrusters. No, no. Can we not? Can we really not? Can you imagine? You are finally out of you're finally in orbit, space orbit, and you've escaped Earth's gravity. So you've escaped Earth's gravity. You're finally in orbit, and you can't maneuver the thrusters. You can't drive. You're trying to steer, and your steering wheel, and your ship's not moving. Fuck them. Oh my god, they are just on brand with Boeing, just delivering trash to and who knows how many millions of dollars this ship might have cost. And just because they secured this deal with NASA, who, by the way, NASA should know better than to trust Boeing, because it sounds like they're just trying to be patriotic, I guess, and have symbolism. Yes, NASA, the USA, NASA people, scientists are partnering with a great American company, Boeing, American aircraft maker, Boeing, and they're partnering these two great American entities are partnering together to execute this huge mission into space. That's very on brand for the federal government, right? For the USA. But really, you couldn't have chosen all these other startups and companies who want to do things right. You couldn't have given them that contract, but instead you choose Boeing, who, oh, by the way, has had a horrible track record these last 5 to 7 years. Horrible track record. It's just on brand for Boeing to just mess up once again. So I'm sorry about this rant, but I feel so I can't believe Boeing still even exists. Let's be real. Horrible. Okay. Helium leaks in the ship's propulsion system. Trouble maneuvering thrusters. Okay. We need to get over that. Okay. Launched June 5th, Commander Barry Butch Wilmore and co-pilot Sunita Williams originally expected to spend about 8 days in space, putting the Starliner through its paces in the ship's first piloted test flight. But the helium leaks and thruster issues have prompted NASA to extend their stay aboard the space station indefinitely. Not indefinitely. No, I don't want to stay in space forever. Screw Boeing. Screw him. Okay. Stay aboard the space station indefinitely. Wednesday marked their 35th day in orbit, while engineers carry out tests and analysis to better understand what caused the problems and make sure the spacecraft can safely bring Wilmore and Williams home. Like, they're gonna need another spaceship. Like, let's be real. They're gonna need like a rescue mission for these people, and then that's when things are really gonna get bad for NASA. Like, that's gonna make headline news. Like, astronauts like stranded in space. Like, what is that word? Gosh dang it. Life raft, aircraft, spaceship to rescue stranded astronauts in space. Like, no! Oh my god, what a scandal. But let's keep reading, shall we? In the meantime, NASA insists the crew isn't stranded in space, and they put the word stranded in quotes. Stranded. And both Wilmore and Williams, speaking with reporters for the first time since launch, appeared to agree with that assessment. Yeah, they were definitely not briefed by NASA to not say anything like, we're miserable, we're a little scared out here, like, someone come save us. Quote, I think where we are right now and what we know right now and how the spacecraft flew as it was coming into the docking, I feel confident that if we had to, if there was a problem with the ISS, we can get in our spacecraft and we can unlock, talk to our team, and figure out the best way to come home. Yeah, right. Yeah, right, Williams. Quote, I have a real good feeling in my heart that this spacecraft will bring us home, no problem, she added. We're learning how to optimize our specific situation and make sure that we know everything about it. See, this is why these people are astronauts. This is the reason why NASA chose you, because you're the right person for the job. You're saying all the right things. Congrats, Carl. Asked about his faith in the Starliner, Wilmore said, we're absolutely confident. We are actually doing thruster testing and as we speak at the White Sands, New Mexico, trying to replicate the problems we saw when we were rendezvousing, he said, and we are going to learn from that. And we're going to incorporate new processes, procedures, blah, blah, blah. But just to be safe, on the safe side, Steve Stitch, manager of NASA's blah, 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 blah. The team has dusted off plans originally developed when the Russian Soyuz spacecraft that carried NASA astronauts Frank Rubio to the station developed a coolant leak. Okay, so they're trying to like learn from that and apply it to this case. In that case, preliminary plans were drawn up to possibly bring Rubio down on a SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule if worse came to worse. As it turned out, the Russians launched a replacement Soyuz, and those plans were not needed. In that case, we decided to use Dragon as a contingency return option for Frank to use as a lifeboat, Stitch said. We had a configuration of Frank in the but again, our prime option is to return Butch on Sunny on Starliner. We're pretty far away from where we were in the Soyuz. We just want to understand the thrusters a little bit more before we commit to the final on-dock and return. And the article continues, having a great time in orbit after multiple delays. Yeah, right. These people are stranded. Their situation doesn't seem good at all. Their plan B is iffy at best, like to get into a Russian, uh, like a Russian aircraft as their plan B. Like, what? That makes no sense. Like, this is horrible. It's just too bad. Not, it's not, I should not say, oh, it's just too bad, but like, it's just so unfortunate that Boeing is guilty of this. Boeing is guilty of this, of putting these people in this situation. It was only supposed to be 8 days. They're out there on their 35th day. By the time this podcast launch, they might be on their 40th day. Like, that's horrible. They don't know how they're getting home. Like, they think they're gonna get back into the Boeing aircraft, but your thrusters don't work, bro. Like, how it's gonna have to re-enter Earth's orbit, Earth's, and just face Earth's atmosphere at like God knows like what speed you're gonna be going, and your thrusters are not gonna be able to like. No, I don't see how there is a solution to this except that Boeing again fucked up. NASA again fucked up for trusting Boeing after their slew of whoopsie doozies. You can't even call it that. I'm just being like that's just me having dark humor because I'm a medical worker, and all of us just have dark humor. Everybody, each and every one of us that works in the medical field, because that's really just another one of our coping mechanisms to work in the medical field. So dark humor, hello, it's me. I have it. But it's not funny. I don't actually think it's funny. I think it's horrible. It's horrid. And once again, like, I just couldn't believe that they let Boeing once again mess up. Like, Boeing has pretty much fired all of their engineers, and by the sounds of it, word of mouth is that Boeing right now is being run by a bunch of MBAs, people with like masters in business degrees, like just cutting corners, like they're like shooting up their profit margins, like those type of people, MBA people. Those are the people that are running NASA right, or Boeing right now, and it's just outrageous. And while we're in the topic, I have to say it's also quite big news that NASA pleaded guilty to the 737 Max crashes, but at the moment they pleaded guilty, and right now I think the fee would be like a little bit close to like $500 million, but that Boeing would be able to scrape some amount from those $500 million for the fees that Boeing has already paid in the past, which is about like $242 million. So really, the fee that would go to like the victims would only be like $250 million. And people like the victims, there's a law firm that's representing the victims, or not the victims, the family of the victims that died in these horrible crashes. There's a law firm that is representing them in this lawsuit, and the family of the victims are like, no, like they're calling it a sweetheart deal, and it would be really like Boeing just getting off the hook, pretty much getting like a slap in the hand. But the fact that Boeing pleaded guilty in this case is a huge deal, and like I definitely feel like there's going to be a domino effect that comes from this guilty, like pleading guilty on Boeing's part. But it sounds like the family of the victims don't want to let Boeing off the hook so easily, and are going to want to move forward. And I think they want to see like somebody held accountable. And I mean, who knows? Like, obviously the US federal government sees Boeing as too big to fail. like this company is too big to fail. They have too many resources. Like they're giving too many away. They're giving too many jobs to people. They pay a lot in taxes. At least their employees do. So at this point, like it would be really interesting to see what comes out of this, right? Um, will anybody be held accountable? Who knows? I think there's enough people, enough angry people who want to pursue like it's just difficult to say right now. But Boeing pleading guilty to the charges is a really big deal. We're going to have to wait and see what happens. They clearly don't have like the a good reputation anymore. They have astronauts stranded in space. They've killed hundreds of people. They're lucky that another airplane wasn't added to their list of victims because the Alaska flight was able to get down safely after the door exploded. But God forbid, like God forbid. So just so many things wrong in this world, in this situation. But I really, really, really just hope and pray. And like, I just, with all my might, I just want justice for these victims to finally arrive and for Boeing to finally be held accountable for all their misactions. And like they have blood on their hands. They have blood on their hands. And it needs to be reviewed. They need to be stopped. And that's it. People who signed off on all these airplanes need to go to jail. So P. Diddy needs to go to jail. Boeing executives need to go to jail. They need to go to jail, and everyone just needs to go. Bye. See ya. We don't need you. We don't want you in this world. Goodbye. Go away. Okay. So moving forward, I finally took a breath and just breathed, took a little break, and I'm back now. So let's move forward, shall we? Happy, healthy, friendly, good vibes only, positivity. Okay. So, another article that I found on Google News is one written by ABC News, which I found to be very intriguing. So, the headline reads: Poll finds only 36% of Americans have confidence in higher education. Whew, that is not a lot. A new poll finds Americans are increasingly skeptical about the value and cost of college. And the article reads, Americans are increasingly skeptical about the value and cost of college, with most saying they feel the U.S. higher education system is headed in the wrong direction, according to a new poll. Overall, only 36% of adults say they have a great deal or quite a lot of confidence in higher education, according to the report released Monday by Gallup and the Lumina Foundation. That confidence level has declined steadily from 57% in 2015. So 57% minus 36, that's like a 20%. That's like almost a quarter of like Americans. Obviously not all Americans voted in this poll, but they're generalizing. And that's about like almost a quarter of people who pretty much are like they just don't believe in the college system anymore. That's a lot. And this is after the 2008 crash. This is was it before or after Trump got elected? I don't remember, but that's a lot of people who have grown skeptical in the US college system. But let's keep reading. Some of the same opinions have been reflected in declining enrollment as colleges contend with the effects of the student debt crisis. You think? Concerns about the high cost of tuition and political debates over how they teach about race and other topics. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. Political debates. Teach about race and other topics. Huh. Oh, like the students in college don't like that there are political debates um, in college, and how college talks about race and other topics. So some students don't like that, some college students. Okay, fair. The dimming view of whether college is worth the time and money cuts across all demographics, including gender, age, political affiliation. Among Republicans, the number of correspondents with high confidence in higher education has dropped 36 percentage points over the last decade, far more than it dropped for Democrats or independents. Interesting. So, like, conservative people, like, they're growing even more skeptical of college, even more than liberal people or people who call themselves independents. That is so interesting. Wow, these stats are crazy. Quote, it's so expensive, and I don't think colleges are teaching people what they need to get a job, unquote, says Randy Hill, 59. He's 59-year-old, a registered Republican in Connecticut and a driver for a car service. His nephew plans to do welding apprenticeship after graduating high school. Quote, you graduate out of college, you're up to your eyeballs in debt. You can't get a job, then you can't pay it off. What's the point, unquote. You heard? This young man speaking facts, truth. The June 2024 survey's overall findings that 36% of adults feel strong confidence in higher education is unchanged from the year before. But what concerns researchers is shifting opinion on the bottom end, with fewer Americans saying they have some confidence and more reporting very little and none. This year's findings show almost as many people have little or no confidence, 32% as those with high confidence. Experts say that fewer college graduates could worsen labor shortages in fields from healthcare to information technology. For those who forego college, it often means lower lifetime earnings, 75% less compared to those who get a bachelor's degree, according to Georgetown University. And during the economic downturn, those without degrees are more likely to lose jobs. So it sounds like ABC News is trying to persuade us in a way that they say maybe these people should get a college education, but ABC News is run by billionaires. Like, we need to know when we're reading this stuff, guys, we need to know, check our sources, what's in it for them by saying this kind of stuff. And that is something that my social studies teacher, my senior year, taught me. God, I wish I remembered her name, but she's the only teacher in my whole entire education, U.S. education, that taught me, check your sources. Are they trying to persuade you in any certain way? Are they affiliated with anybody else that may persuade their point of view? So, God bless that woman. That was a very, very valuable, if not one of the most valuable, like, lessons any teacher taught me in the U.S. system. So kudos to her. I hope she's thriving. I know she is. So I think ABC News is trying to persuade people into thinking maybe you should believe more in the college system. Like, all these bad things could happen to you if you don't get a college degree. But anyways, let's keep reading. Quote, it is sad to see that confidence hasn't grown at all, unquote, says Courtney Brown, vice president at Lumina, an educational nonprofit. Quote, what's shocking to me is that people who have low or no confidence is actually increasing. Oh, you think? Unquote. Well, she didn't actually say what I just said, but yeah. This year's survey added new detailed questions in an effort to understand why confidence is shrinking. Almost 1/3 of correspondents say college is too expensive. That's right. While 24% feel students are not being properly educated or taught what they need to succeed. Amen to that. Yes. The survey did not specifically touch on the protests this year against the war in Gaza that divided many college campuses, but political views weighed heavily on the findings. That just sucks that politics has to play a role in whether or not kids, young adults, believe in college or not. Like, that sucks. Respondents voiced concerns about indoctrination, political bias. Colleges today are too liberal. Among the correspondents who lack confidence, 41% cite political agendas as a reason. Ugh, that colleges have political agendas, and that's just too bad. That's really too bad. I'm so sorry. You have to go through that. Among other findings, more than two-thirds, or 67% of respondents, say college is headed in the wrong direction, compared with just 31% who feel it's going in the right direction. So an overwhelming amount of people, of young adults, 67% compared to 31%, an overwhelming majority feel like the college is going in the wrong direction. And that's just terrible. That is a lot of people that are like seeing things like they're seeing the writing on the wall. They're like, this is not what I expected it to be. Like, this is not going good. Generally, when people express confidence in higher education, they are thinking of four-year institutions, according to Gallup. But the survey found that more people have confidence in two-year institutions. 49% of adults say that they have a great deal or quite a lot of confidence in two-year programs. Yes, queen. Compared with 33% of Americans who feel that way about four-year colleges. So more people are starting to believe in going to community college, and like, I give them props for that, because community college is a proven way. It has been a proven way that that young adults have been able to save tons of money, especially in their first 2 years of college, where you're like just basically learning like the core classes. Everyone's pretty much doing like the exact same curriculum, if not like just little differences. But like your first 2 years of college, like, can be so expensive because kids think that they need to go off to these fancy universities and have this like super fancy college experience. They want to have the college experience, like parties, sororities, and like walking on campus and like being in clubs in college. And like, we're being sold this American dream. And I also used to be part of that group that felt like I never had my college experience. I want to have my college experience. Like, I want to walk on campus, on the UW campus, University of Washington. I want to walk in the UW campus and like sit in the fountain while I read, or like do my homework, or be in the UW library and like be like on my laptop, like writing an essay and like looking out into the campus window. Like, I had that dream, but I ended up going to community college for pretty much every single year of my college. What would you call it? I don't know. I don't know what to call it, but I was in college for like 5, maybe 6 years. Like, I seriously need to dedicate a whole entire podcast to my college experience, because it's just a lot. And I really want to dive into more detail, because I do want to share my experience with you guys, and like the obstacles that stood in my way of me not being able to get like that regular or normal college university experience that I never had. But more on that later. But me reading this, like, young adults are starting to see like light bulbs are turning on above their heads. Like, they're seeing like, I think like community college is the way to go. Like, 2 years, just crank these credits out, and I'm on my way. I don't accumulate as much debt as some of my peers, or like my brother or my sister that have already gone to college, and they're just like, they can't get a job. Like, it all makes sense, and it's just so incredibly sad to see like young adults suffering and not being able to buy homes, real estate, because they're just drowning in student debt that won't go away, even in death, even if they die. Adults will not be able to escape student loans. The loan would continue on to their descendants, and these people will harass the son and daughter, who, by the way, are still mourning the loss of their loved one, and they will be harassed and just like preyed upon by these like nasty, nasty debt collectors because they want that student loan debt to be paid for. And it doesn't go away even in death. And I think that's just disgusting. Ugh, that makes me want like want to throw up on this mic. But yeah, things are not looking so hot, guys. Okay, but I'm happy like young adults are starting to see like, okay, like 2-year college, community college is a good option for me. Like, yes, I commend you for that. I applaud you. Amazing, awesome. California college student Kristen Freeman understands why. It's about saving money. Yes, girl. That's why I went to a 2-year. It's more bang for your buck, says Freeman, 22, a sociology major at Diablo Community College, with plans to transfer to San Jose State University for the final 2 years of college. Good for you, girl. You saved yourself at least like $80,000, if not more, in tuition for maybe she saved herself like $120,000 in tuition for 2 years, because a lot of college students, in order to live in the campus, they don't have a job. They're in college, but they want to live in campus, so all those living expenses are added to the debt. I like that's beyond me, and I couldn't even like imagine like that type of debt being added to an already expensive college tuition. Like, that's crazy. Freeman understands the concerns about indoctrination, whether college prepares students for life and work, but also feels the only way to change structural problems is from the inside. I am learning about the world around me and developing useful skills in critical thinking, Freeman says. I think higher education can give students the spark to want to change the system. Okay, that's pretty cool. I like that. The college press education coverage receives financial support from multiple private foundations. AP is solely responsible for all content. Oh, this is just some other stuff. But wow, like, yeah, I mean, this is a really good article. ABC News did try to persuade us to thinking that, hey, like, it could be scary at times if you don't have a college education. So they're definitely like, it's big business trying to persuade kids to pursue like a bachelor's degree, pretty much to become employees to these big companies. Because if there's one thing I learned that college doesn't teach you, is how to be like an entrepreneur, how to run your own business. College does not ever teach you how to run a startup from the ground up, because these colleges are affiliated with big business, and they don't want entrepreneurs. They don't want people who are willing to put in their time to run a startup company. They don't want that competition. They want students who will be like, you know, what's the right word? They want like little good workers. You know, they want people who have a bachelor's degree who will be good workers for these companies. They don't want people to challenge them and create competition. And, you know, it's all about greed and money. And the college system is wrapped around that greed of big business. They don't want like business owners. They don't want these kids to like compete with them and potentially take customers from them. They just want little good workers, and, you know, people who just want to work a 9 to 5 and have benefits and just, you know, like, yeah. And like, I will say at one point I actually did want that to be like my dream. I thought I was going to get a master's in business degree. I was going to get my MBA. Okay. And I was going to work for Too Faced, the makeup company, like corporate Too Faced, like Too Faced in the office. I was going to work for them and just like live my life, right? And that was like my dream when I was in Sephora, working at Sephora. I think it was in like 2018, and I was still going to college. I was taking math classes in community college. But anyways, like I said, I will get into my whole college career, because boy has it been a long one, you know, me being in college. But right now, I'm currently not in college. I am going to be turning 30 soon. So it's just like I'm in a time in, I'm in a place in my life where I want to, where I'm really and trying to discover like what direction I'm going to take, what I want. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's still so much time for me to like decide what it is that I want, but I'm going to get into my whole college thing later in another podcast. But you know, unfortunately, the same reason like these kids are not like going to university, 4 year university, is the same reason that like kids are not being able, I keep saying kids because I'm like, I am like fully into like adulthood at this point. Like I'm 29 going to 30 years old. Like I've been there, right? But young adults, I gotta say young adults. So young adults are the same reason they are not going to 4 year college is the same reason they young adults can afford to buy homes, real estate. You need a down payment to buy a home, like at least like $10,000, $10 to $20,000 for like a modest home, and it's just like not happening for people because the article it reads it's all in the article like people are not people are going to college, they're getting into eye-watering debt, they're not being able to pay their debt because they can't find a job, and it's just so hard these days. And I applaud every single student who is smart enough to realize like like maybe these colleges, these institutions are trying to sell me like a pipe dream, and I need to like really watch out for myself and not get into so much debt, and go to community college first, get my core classes done there, save tons and tons of money. Like, hold on, oh, my mic is falling off. Like, I applaud everybody who does that. But yeah, it's just really unfortunate. I think the only way we're gonna change this is if the federal government stops giving free loans, stops giving loans to students to go to college. And I'm talking like tens of thousands of dollars in loans. Because if that happens, I guess students won't be able to afford to go to colleges, and then colleges will be forced to lower their prices to match the demand, right? But I don't think that's gonna happen. I think what's more likely is that the government would create like free community college for all, so that way education is still available, especially for lower income people and people like smaller communities. But either way, it's just upsetting that so many young adults have gotten into this situation where they feel stuck and sometimes potentially even suicidal, like thinking like there's no way in my lifetime I'm going to be able to like pay for these like tens of thousands if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan. Because I know people, like some of my coworkers, that are going to PA school, physician assistant school, or they got into med school, and they're like, oh my god, like I'm looking at like $100,000 in debt, and like they're just stressing out. And one of them even said that, oh, I'm looking at like $320,000 in debt for med school, and I'm like, girl, like no, that's like no. If you wanted to pay something off like that aggressively with after you get a salary job in the med field, you would like, let's say they give you like 200K a year. If we're talking nice, like that's nice. Realistically, a starting physician would be like $125,000. We'll go with 125K. salary per year, it's your first year, as a doctor, it would take you like at least like 4 or 5 years if you're extremely frugal to pay that debt off. And that's like putting it nicely. Most people like don't want to do that. They're doctors. They've made it through all these obstacles. They want to be balling out finally, right? They got a little dough in their pocket. And that's what most Americans do. They live above their means, like, or barely up to their means, and they just like their what would you call it? Like their lifestyle, like they get a little bit more money and then they match their lifestyle to that pay increase. And it's just like a very toxic cycle of just Americans living paycheck to paycheck. Even people making like 3-figure salaries, like $250,000, are still living paycheck to paycheck, believe it or not. And if you don't believe that, listen to what's his name? Not Joe Rogan, the other bald guy. Gosh dang it, David, I think it's his name. Anyways, yeah, he's the guy that gives financial advice to people who are in like piss poor financial situations. And people who make 3 figures also end up on that show, unfortunately. People who claim like bankruptcy 3 times end up on that show. And it's like, it's hard to sympathize with people who have messed up over 3 times and are still in the same situation. Like, they spent all that money and refused to pay all that money back to their lenders 3 times. Like, what did you do with that? But I don't know, like, human psychology is like very intriguing, and people do things for a reason. And I guess I need to be a little bit more sensitive to people's feelings, because maybe they did go through something in life that made them have poor financial decisions. But anyways, I really hope that the college situation improves, that college students, people who graduated or have not graduated, get some of their student loan, forgiven, at least a portion. That would help a lot. And or that we get free community college, because it seems like the rest of the world has gotten it right, or at least like first world countries have gotten it right. Europe has free education. One of my coworkers, she got into med school. She is a UK citizen and from England, and her med school is being 100% being paid for, covered. Like, what? Amazing. I really wish and pray and hope that the US gets something like that soon. But moving on. So lastly, let's see. I came across this last article that I thought was really funny but really morbid, because it's kind of really dystopian. So on interestingengineering.com, this article reads, mind reading AI turns thoughts into pictures with unprecedented accuracy. What? We are living in the future, and we haven't even created an AI that is like that's like it. We haven't created an AI that's like that girl yet. And like, they're already having like computers accurately be able to see people's like thoughts. Like, that is insane. Like, and right away when I saw this, I was like, no, because I knew this could be used in like for espionage. Like, the US government can use this technology not only for good, not only for people with disabilities, but also and primarily for like espionage and like torture, and like just terrible things can come from being able to get into people's mind. And like, what is to say that like a lot of money is being poured into reading people's minds, but what is to say that like there isn't equally as much money, if not more money, being poured into the idea of being able to put thoughts into somebody's mind, putting images into somebody's mind. And yeah, I think Facebook has been like working on that as well, like with Meta, but that's a whole different topic. But this article, like when I read this line, immediately I was like, oh no, like this is bad. We're talking dystopian. Let's just get into it. So it reads, researchers have achieved a significant breakthrough in the field of neuroscience and artificial intelligence by successfully reconstructing images from brain activity. By employing an improved mind-reading AI system, they could reduce closest reconstructions of images, particularly when using direct recordings of brain activity. This remarkable feat was accomplished by scientists at Radboud University in the Netherlands. They have clubbed their previous study with the latest research to generate accurate reconstructions. Quote, as far as I know, these are the closest, most accurate reconstructions, unquote. Said Umut, a member of the research team. This mind-reading technology development has the potential to pave the way for new treatments for vision loss. Yeah, but also for other things. Wink, wink. 2 studies for deeper understanding. The team conducted 2 different studies. In the first study, they placed few volunteers inside a functional magnetic resonance MRI machine. This machine measured changes in blood flow in the brain, which can be used to understand brain activity. The volunteers were shown pictures of faces, and the MRI captured the neural activity in the visual cortex, which was then fed into the AI algorithm. The AI was able to reconstruct the images that closely resembled the original pictures. No! Don't train the AI to do that, please. The second study involved reanalyzing data from previous experiments where electrode arrays were implanted in a Masad monkey's brain to record its activity as it looked at AI-generated images. This time, the improved AI was able to reconstruct the original images with near perfect accuracy. This is because the implanted devices provided precise data on the monkey's brain activity. The researchers then used a sophisticated AI system to analyze the brain activity data from both experiments. This AI system was unique because it could learn which parts of the brain to focus on. Oh no. By doing so, it was able to create images that were very similar to the original images seen by the volunteers and the monkey. Basically, the AI is learning when interpreting the brain signals where it should direct its attention. Ooh, they're creating a smart AI. Not good. That's not good. Okay. Wide range of applications. The applications of the technology can span various fields. In the medical field, it can potentially restore vision by stimulating the brain to create richer visual experiences for individuals with visual impairments. Moreover, it has the potential to revolutionize communication for individuals with disabilities by providing novel avenues for interaction and expression. Quote, considering the speed of progress in the field of generative modeling, we believe that this framework will likely result in even more impressive reconstructions of perception and possibly even imagery in the near future, unquote, concluded the researchers' study. Yeah, like, you have all the right intentions, but this isn't right. Albert Einstein had all the right intentions, but he created a deadly bomb that killed thousands of people. He was a scientist. He also had the greatest intentions. Didn't end up so well, in the history of humanity. Didn't end up very well. And I think these scientists are also going along those lines with Albert Einstein. Like, you're smart. You're creating something amazing, but like, you're not considering the implications. It's kind of like that Jurassic Park line that says like, oh, your scientists like knew they could, but they didn't stop to think if they should, right? Like, these scientists in the Netherlands are also kind of like fucking up. Like, come on, guys. Like, I know this could be great, and you're a scientist and this is like exciting for you, and like you're making the AI do things that like even like 2 years ago wasn't even possible. Like that's exciting for a scientist, right? Someone that is so curious, a group of people that are extremely curious, but they somebody needs to like tell them to pause and think and stop. And like, you don't think like the European army or the US army would want this technology to like have like their prisoners of war like go through something similar and pretty much spy on like their counterpart or like their enemy, and like just think all of the bad possibilities that could happen from something like this. And even like from an advertising uh way, like just imagine that like Facebook Meta puts ads into their visionware, and people are in the future like in this visionware, and then Facebook has also captured the same technology that these Netherlands scientists are doing right now. And not only are they reading people's minds when they are advertising to them, but they could possibly even have already like flipped the technology and put thoughts into people's minds to think a certain way or to like see things in a more like rose colored lenses and be more persuaded to like buy a product. And this could just be so dystopian. And when I saw that, like, oh, it's 2024. We're in the middle of 2024. It's almost 2025, and like things are going bad for us. And the fact that they're teaching AI how to do something like this, like, what is to say that AI doesn't like break out and knows how to read people's minds? And we have like a hypothetical war against artificial intelligence, and it's like a rogue AI, and humans are like fighting against the AI. And the AI like captures people, prisoners of war, and then sits them in like a chair and like just uses this technology that was taught to an earlier AI and uses it to like see into people's minds and see like what the plan is to destroy that AI. And like now it knows the plan that humans have to like destroy AI, and now it can crush all the people that like that conspired against this like evil AI that has broken loose and wants to like control all of humanity. And like right, and like the one of my most favorite sci-fi shows on Netflix, it's called The 100, like shows this scenario. I think it's on like season 3 or 4, like much later on into the show. They have this AI, rogue AI, that like the survivors of the apocalypse are trying to like bring down, and the AI is able to like transport these people, like get into these people's minds. And like it's just crazy because the people, their subconscious goes into like the AI's computer, and the AI is like putting them in this like matrix world, make believe world, where other people who have been like captured by AI are living happily in this matrix world. Meanwhile, like their physical body is like enslaved by the AI. Like this is just mind bending stuff. And like the show that I was watching, my favorite show, the AI, my favorite show, the 100, that like features this AI scenario, like it couldn't be more spot on to like what is happening right now with in the Netherlands with these scientists. And I just think like, oh, like people need to be more careful when approaching stuff like this, because they really, as exciting as it is to these super curious scientists, like they really don't know what they're fucking with. Like it's just insane. And one of my previous podcasts, I don't remember which one, don't ask, I mentioned that like Facebook, I think it was in like 2014, 2015, they like pretty much started up like some algorithms and like these computers, and they just kind of like wrote an algorithm and just like let the computers do whatever, and like the researchers at Facebook were just like watching, and the computers within the span of like a few hours like had created their own language. And not only that, but the computers started communicating with each other in this like new language they created in a few hours. And the Facebook researchers were like, they did not know like what was going on, so they had to like pull the plug on these computers, like turn it off so nothing bad would happen. But can you imagine if that is what like a not so smart AI can do with like just a basic algorithm, like in the span of a few hours? Can you imagine what a more sophisticated and advanced AI could do in the span of weeks, if not months, and maybe even a year? Like how great and big it could become, and like how much knowledge it could accumulate. And it just seems like a trend with me that I keep talking about AI and this dystopian scenario, but I'm just like, oh, like I'm just such a like firm believer of like we really should not fuck with AI. And like I'm with those people that say, hey, maybe we should have an AI, but like let's slow it down. Let's walk and not run to AI. So I'm with those people, right? But I don't know. We'll see what goes down. I don't know what I'm going to talk about next podcast, because there's a few topics that I want to talk about. Aside from AI, I need to like break away from the AI thing, but it's just so hard to stop because I mean, as I've said before in this podcast, I'm a huge sci-fi fan, and I'm super into like futuristic tech, anything future. I'm like super into. I'm also like I really love like astronomy, space, all that kind of stuff, aliens. That's just like so interesting to me, because I'm a huge sci-fi fan. But anyways, I think next time maybe I could like talk a little bit more about my fascination with like the CERN, that huge machine that's in Europe. That's like a circle where they crash like atoms into each other, and so they can see like what happened at the very beginning of time. And I'm talking like the very first like milliseconds of the universe being formed. And they're wanting to build an even bigger one in Europe. So like maybe we can talk a little bit more about that because I think it's like really interesting. And yeah, hopefully we don't have any more bad updates about P. Diddy. I hope Boeing gets their shit together. If not, I hope they can just like be dismantled by the federal government and not being given a second chance. And I really hope that humanity, that we just do better, because the younger generations, like they deserve better, we deserve better, and I hope things just go well for us. I really do. But anyways, thank you so much for watching this episode of the Goldilocks podcast. I hope it was entertaining for you and that you will want to stick around for next time and listen to more conspiracy theories and be informed about what's going on in the world. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one. Okay? Bye!